Welcome to British Columbia, Canada. My name is Rita Bryant, and I'm married to a wonderful helicopter pilot. We have a 16-year-old daughter. About 2 years ago, my daughter, as well as my husband, became baptized. Praises to God, eh?
I look forward to going to church. We actually, as a family, my mom, my dad, and myself, go to an all-nations center.
Well, when I was baptized, that really changed for me in upholding the Sabbath, because now that I fly helicopters and I have to satisfy the customer's needs, but also what was more important to me was satisfying what God was expecting from me. So I went to my boss with some apprehension that I'm now baptized, and my commitment to God means that I need to uphold the Sabbath, which means in this industry flying helicopters for a customer usually means that you don't have a choice when you're coming back, which posed a real conflict for me in maintaining the Sabbath and my commitment with God, having been baptized freshly. So when I went to my boss and I asked him about this, in fact I didn't sleep the night before. That's how very concerned I was in approaching my boss with this very strange request, in asking him that, by the way, boss, I can no longer work on Sabbath. So when I went to him with this request, prior to that, let me say that I did spend some quality time with God on my knees when I prayed the night before, and I asked God to please soften my boss's heart, my boss Doug Parrish, with Bailey Helicopters in Fort St. John, British Columbia. I asked him to soften his heart so that he can have understanding for me. And boy, was my prayer ever answered. Because when I went into my boss, my boss told me that I had his head spinning and that he never heard of a request like this and wasn't sure how it's going to work, but being that I was with him and worked with him for so long, and he said he'll see what he can do. And by the Lord's blessing and answered prayers, he said we'll give it a try. And sure enough, it's been almost 2 years now since I've been working for the same company and also maintaining my Sabbath.
Our daughter so wanted to be a torchbearer for the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics.
It all started with my mother. She looked in the newspaper, and it actually was a very small ad. And it caught her attention.
She was able to go through the process, and it took about a year for us to actually get the confirmation.
I was to move forward and go into the next round.
When she finally opened her email and it said, Rita Bryant, you have been selected as a 2010 torchbearer for the 2010 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games, and there was music in the background. She was so happy. She was shrieking and she was jumping up and down, and she was so excited and squealing, and then she just cried. She was so happy.
I was so excited when my daughter was chosen to carry the torch.
After all the excitement, Rita went to the calendar and she noticed immediately that it was on a Sabbath.
That's when I brought it to my parents' attention.
And even though it did land on a Sabbath, it didn't move our family very much, because we were very satisfied that she made it this far. But also when she witnessed me praying about the Sabbath and keeping my job, putting my job on the line for God, and we did the same thing. We put the option to carry the torch on the line as well.
We had to make a decision. We had to take a stand.
So my family came to the conclusion that my mother would write the Vancouver Olympic Committee explaining how we would like to keep the Sabbath holy, and we were willing to not run on that assigned day.
And I know that my daughter Rita was praying immensely, because this meant so much to my daughter in carrying this torch for the 2010 Winter Olympics.
We explained that it was a holy day for us.
They said, yeah, oh yeah, no questions, for sure. We totally understand what the Sabbath is about.
They would reassign a day for me, which was in Tumbler Ridge, January 31st.
And prayers were answered.
When God's in your heart, you know what's right. I'd say follow your heart when God's with you.